could have possibly seen this coming? Who could have predicted that the number one complaint this offseason in the WNBA would be the incessant whining about their minimum wage salaries? I mean, who could have possibly predicted this? You know, on one hand, I really don't blame WNBA players for complaining about their salaries. If I was making minimum wage, I would be bitter. I would be complaining about money too. When I was working at my old job before you guys gave me the amazing blessing of doing YouTube for a living, which, by the way, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to wake up every morning and live my dream. When I was miserable working at my old job, I used to complain about money all the time. So part of me understands where WNBA players are coming from. But there's a huge difference between me and the players in the WNBA. I eventually reached a point where I stopped complaining, I stopped blaming the company, and I asked myself, what can I do to make my life better? What can I do to increase my own income? I stopped blaming the company for my problems and I did something about it. I started this channel. I poured my life into it. I worked 40, 50 hours every week for the company and I put in another 30 or 40 hours into building this channel. Nothing else mattered. I sacrificed everything to improve my situation. But KC, aren't WNBA players doing this? They've increased ratings. They have increased attendance. The WNBA is mainstream. This league has huge stars. Yeah, I'm not going to explain again why Caitlin Clark is responsible for all of that. But either way, yes, it's true. Ratings, attendance in the WNBA, they have increased exponentially this season. But that does not change the fact that the dump is still losing money. It doesn't change the fact that the dump is scheduled to lose $50 million this season, which is $40 million more than they typically lose. And it's not like WNBA players don't know this. It's not like the financial situation of the league is some top secret. They know this isn't an actual business. They know their league is a charity that survives off of generous donations from the NBA. But none of that matters to the entitled players in the WNBA. The only thing they care about is chartered flights, 5-star accommodations, and massive increases in their minimum wage salaries. And now, these entitled complaints, they are coming from one of the only stars in the league. Now these complaints are coming from the star that the media claims is the face of the WNBA. The collective of entitled players, they have contracted the services of one of the best professional complainers in the business to bring their complaints to the mainstream. They know if unknown players complain about minimum wage, no one cares. If one of the anonymous faces from Las Vegas complains about living donation to donation, no one cares because no one knows who in the hell they are. But when the entitled complaints are coming from Angel Reese, it makes news throughout the mainstream media. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go ahead and get to the sponsor for today's video, my friends at New Life Art. I know a lot of you guys in this audience are big fans of college football. Now, me personally, I have always preferred the NFL, but one thing I can't deny about college football is the deep tradition, the memories, especially down here in the South. I can still remember where I was when Chris Davis returned Alabama's missed field goal attempt for over 100 yards to win the Iron Bowl back in 2013. And that is exactly what New Life Art does. They capture the classic memories of college football. New Life Art offers oil paintings from legendary painter Daniel Moore. Here's an example right here. This is Bryce Young in the SEC championship game a week or so before he won the Heisman Trophy. And who knows? This painting could be worth a shitload of money one day because this is likely the last trophy Bryce Young will ever win since He is on his way out of the NFL. If you're a fan of Ohio State, you can hang on to their 2013 national title with this picture of Urban Meyer and Zeke Elliott. Or you can remember Clemson's 2017 national championship with this painting of Deshaun Watson leaping into the end zone. New Life Art offers calendars, coffee mugs that feature some of the classic games and memories from college football. So click the link in the description below. Grab your first piece of classic memorabilia from New Life Art. Earlier this week, Angel Reese went live on Instagram from the Victoria's Secret fashion show. Now, I'm assuming that Angel Reese was not one of the models in the show, and that is not because she's not qualified physically to model lingerie from Victoria's Secret. The reason I'm assuming that Angel Reese was not modeling lingerie is because she constantly complains about lonely men on social media sexualizing her. Lonely men look at my bikini pictures and compliment my beauty. It's so traumatizing. I guess the fashion show was painfully boring because Angel Reese, she went live on Instagram with one of her pretend friends with a very strange sounding voice. Very, very strange. The owner of the voice isn't shown on camera, so I can't tell if it's coming from a prepubescent admirer of Meg Rapinoe or one of the high octave cacklers in Cam Harris's cackling choir. But either way, Angel and her pretend friend, they started talking about the minimum wage salaries in the WNBA. Angel Reese was complaining because her woke welfare donations from the dump aren't enough to cover her rent in Chicago. The WNBA currently donates around $75 grand a year to Angel Reese to not sell out home games while also finding new, unique ways to miss layups. Tough job, but Angel Reese, to her credit, she makes it look simple. In all my years of watching basketball, or in the case of the WNBA, pretend basketball, in all my years watching the sport, I have never seen a player miss wide open layups better than Angel Reese. The average rent in Chicago is around $2,000 a month. Now, to be fair, I am sure $2 grand is just enough to get you a premier dump in the city. But Angel Reese, she works in a dump every day, so the conditions shouldn't really bother her. $24,000 a year in rent. That would be around a third of her salary. Now, that is higher than the 25% that's recommended, but Angel Reese, she should be able to get by living donation to donation with rent being $2,000 a month, right? The problem for Angel Reese, her rent is $8,000 a month. Earlier this week, she complained about the generous donations that she receives from the NBA not being enough to pay her exorbitant rent. Watch it for yourself.
He ain't pays them bills, baby. I just hope y'all know the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. Literally. I'm trying to think of like my rent for where I stay at. Let me do the math real quick.
It might cover that. Yeah, it covers that. It definitely covers that.
What is my... I don't even know my salary. 74? Okay. I don't even know my salary. Does it? What is it? You don't even... Yo! I'm living beyond my means! It's like... No, my rent is more than that. It's 8,000. I'm living beyond my means. I don't even know my salary for WNBA.
Obviously, you're fortunate
to be in
income, but think about how many people don't and have to actually live off that.
I know.
That's really sad.
Look, I know Angel Reese was half joking here. I know she was having a good time. She was flexing her wealth, and that's fine. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. I expect that kind of behavior from a 22-year-old young woman. Happy for Angel Reese, really am. I am glad she is financially comfortable. But the other 99% of players in the WNBA, they are broke. They don't have endorsement deals. I mean, who is going to pay an unknown pretend basketball player to endorse their brand? 99% of the players in this league, they struggle to get recognized at family reunions. Most of them are probably struggling financially. Like I said earlier, I get it. I understand their complaints. What I don't understand is their complete lack of understanding of how the WNBA works. This league does not have the money to pay you. They don't have the money to pay the minimum wage that you are generously collecting now. much less the millions of dollars that WNBA players will potentially demand this offseason. Make no mistake about it, that video from Angel Reese, that was 100% intentional. I'm telling you. Hell, I have been telling you for months. This will be the number one complaint throughout the offseason. Problem for the WNBA, they now have competition. That new pretend basketball league, it starts in January. They just signed a TV deal with TNT. What a fall from grace for TNT. They go from being the legacy network for the NBA to desperately signing a deal with something called Unrivaled, which is a very fitting name for this new league. If it's anything like the WNBA, this league will be unrivaled because there is no other basketball in the world that is going to be worse. Now, of course, that's just my personal opinion. I am not a fan personally of women's basketball. Call it misogyny if you want, but I'm also not a fan of male cheerleaders. Does that make me a man hater? You know who else isn't a fan of women's basketball? Women. Publicly, the WNBA is supporting this new league, but this league could potentially be a threat to the WNBA dump. Not only could they offer higher salaries, they are also giving players a stake in ownership. And in the short term, this league is another piece of leverage that WNBA players will have when negotiating for higher salaries that they haven't earned. There is not a doubt in my mind. Cathy Engelbert, she is going to fold this offseason. She will give in to the demands of her entitled victims and give them raises. Now, short term, Cathy Engelbert will be helping the players. Long term, she could be hurting the league. The thing about entitlement, it's never enough. You can never fully satisfy entitlement. Entitled people always want more. I'm starting to wonder if this is a generational thing. I know every generation is different, but I don't know if we have ever seen a generation like this Gen Z thing. As you guys know, I am a big fan of The Challenge on MTV. Been watching the show since it premiered in the late 90s. Right now, the 40th season, it's featuring players from the 4 different eras of the show. Now, the first 3 eras are late Gen Xers and millennials. They know how to make great television. The 4th era, the new era, it's these Gen Z kids, and they are painfully boring. Not only that, their fans are painfully boring. The Gen Z cast members, they don't want to fight, they don't want to argue, they don't want to create drama, which is the sole purpose of a reality TV show, fights and drama. The other day I'm on Reddit, and fans from older generations, they are complaining about the decline of The Challenge. It's no longer as entertaining as it used to be. Cast members, they no longer fight. They're too worried about their image or whatever. Now, of course, the kids, the Gen Z kids, they defend their generation. Who wants to see arguments? Who wants to see fights? These older players are meanies. It seems like kids nowadays, they all want to be victims, non-confrontational victims. They're constantly looking for sympathy. You see it everywhere. This constant promotion of victimization, and it's especially prevalent in the WNBA. But anyway, rant over. Give me your thoughts on this. Will we see increased complaints in the WNBA this offseason about their minimum wage salaries? Will the WNBA acquiesce to these unreasonable demands and give players raises that the league really can't afford to give them? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. Appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. See you guys later.